what was that moment? What was that moment for you where you went, I can't do it anymore. I need to stand up and actively get involved.
This moment happened for me when I was in the New York General Assembly on October the 13th. So by background, I was working in disarmament, specifically challenging weapon systems that use artificial intelligence. And as part of that work, I was in New York lobbying states in favor of a resolution on autonomous weapon systems. And so my work was to liaise and engage with diplomats from all over the world. And I was in the security chamber in the New York General Assembly when the Israeli ambassador looked up to the screen and said, the Palestinians are all barbarians and savages, and was basically beating the drum for the start of an ethnic cleansing campaign. And I looked around the room and I saw that the colleagues that I had been working with, many from the Western states, were simply nodding their heads, and it dawned on me that they were just going to, at the very least, allow this to happen, but some of them basically be complicit in it happening. I essentially had a tearful day, to say the least. I went to the mosque to pray and found a surrender in that moment. And I made a resolve that I was going to speak out. And I just did that by making a tweet from my personal account, speaking out against ethnic cleansing. I was actually dismissed from my job for making that tweet. That's another story. But that was the moment for me. I had decided that my conscience meant that I had to speak out and I had to take action, whether or not I lost my job. And I did lose my job in quite a spectacular fashion. And I think that in itself speaks quite a lot to the degree of silencing and isolation that many Western states and civil society are imposing upon people who are speaking out. But you know what? South Africa was one of the moments when you took Israel to the ICJ was another moment for me, because I think one of the lines that was quoted, I think it was from Martin Luther King, where you say that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards truth. And it was a real powerful moment for me that day, because I felt, yes, South Africa, you are leading the world and giving us confidence. And since then, I've done everything I can to carry on speaking for the truth. And it has been a liberating experience for me personally. And they say that it's not just that we're going to liberate Palestine, but Palestine is going to liberate us. And I think taking part in this global strike is liberating us. It's saying, hey, we have power. We're going to withdraw our capital, our labor, our services, our goods in protest. And that is an act of liberation.
And speaking of South Africa, I think we are so active because we are one of the main beneficiaries of global solidarity. And I think in recent times we've seen kind of like a shift in activism where boycotts are not taken as serious. People don't feel like boycotts have the same amount of impact as they used to. And here in South Africa, we'll tell you a different story. I was not born yet, but when you read through history and the stories that you hear, boycotts were number one. When it comes to ultimately us defeating the apartheid regime, when our parents didn't go to work, they didn't get on the buses, they just didn't comply with any government products or any kind of instruction coming from the apartheid regime. Can you just lament the importance, because I think one of the key things that you suggest people should do tomorrow is not purchasing any goods and services, and also not making any transactions on debit cards and credit cards, which is a form of boycott, because we know all of these big multinationals, most if not all of them, are supporting the Israeli regime. So how important are boycotts? Are they still impactful in today's day and age?
Absolutely. We have already seen the impact of BDS. We're starting to see the share prices plunge of some of the big US companies, the Starbucks and McDonald's. In Jordan, no one is buying Starbucks. No one is going to McDonald's. And those places are closing down. And I think these companies are starting to regret some of their very vocal support. Starbucks, for example, support for Israel. Now, on the question of whether or not it makes an impact, I think for me, I'd like to say this. If you are deciding to join, you might be wondering, well, what differences do I make? Don't do it for that reason. Don't do it because, whether or not it makes an impact. Do it for yourself. Do it because you are emancipating yourself from the system. I actually compare it to Ramadan. You know, like what difference is that one, sandwich going to make to if I have it during Ramadan? Maybe not. It's not going to change your health that much. But it's you emancipating yourself and liberating yourself. And many of us who do Ramadan will, know that feeling of feeling spiritually pure when we do that. And you're absolutely right. My mother-in-law has been making a list, by the way, of companies that have some affiliation or some association to Israel. It's vast. When I look at it, I'm thinking, is there anything we can buy? There are things. There absolutely are things you can buy.
It does feel like that sometimes. It really does. It's difficult, but again, it's about making those small choices, and not doing it because you feel like it's going to make a big impact. But as you mentioned, it's for you. It's for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I of course did the strike last week. It made me very aware of my own spending, because I wasn't spending, and I was like, that sort of fizzy drink that I was going to buy. I also had to plan the day before. I was like, okay, what do I need to get for tomorrow so I don't spend any money? And it felt like it was an organizing tool for my own consumerism. Just like, again, for Ramadan, when you plan ahead and you think, okay, you become more conscious of what you eat. And through that, you also become more conscious of other people's needs as well. So I think it's a very cleansing exercise. And so I would say invite people to do it and experience it. And by the way, then it's an amazing community, global community solidarity. I've been so invigorated by the number of people messaging and now sending in videos to say, I'm joining the strike. Dozens of young people, old people, everything in between, men, women. So it's you connect to a global community, a global ummah. Not necessarily an Islamic one, but people who are human, driven by humanity. To say we're seeing what's going on in Gaza. No matter what background I'm from, I don't agree with that, and I'm going to join you. And it's an awakening. It's a humanity awakening. And I think I'm so pleased to see the traction behind this strike. And I think that the calls have been made to make this a weekly thing. We'll see how we get on. We'll see how we get on Friday, and if there's a call for a third one, then we'll do it and see where it takes us.
No, definitely. You've chosen a very specific method of rallying support through a video compilation. Why did you choose this approach, and how do you ensure your message stays clear and effective across different languages and cultures? Because as you mentioned, there are people from all across the world, the humanity ummah, as you put it, that is involved and that wants to take a stand.
Yeah, so there's a couple of reasons. So I thought this was another spontaneous idea. This isn't being planned by any central organization. And I again want to reiterate that I'm not a leader in this. I'm a random activist using my phone, and many other people are doing the same thing. And we're a big community, a beehive. I feel like we're a beehive of little bees going and doing their things, sharing a common cause. So, the idea for getting people to send in these videos was to get people to feel like they can participate. So it's been really fun getting these videos from Mexico, from Indonesia, from Malaysia, from South Africa. I think we've got about 40 different countries now, each person wearing an item of red clothing. And so going to your wardrobe and picking something out, makes you feel like you're participating, being a bit creative with your video. So there's that element, getting that sort of participation, which is an important part of engagement. But then there's the visibility. So when I'm making this video compilation today, you'll see it. It will come out tonight if you want to see it. So invigorating, and I think anyone who will see this will see the breadth of support that is now coming in. So it will help us to not feel isolated. So you'll see that and think, okay, if I'm going to do the strike, I know that these people from all over the world are doing it too. So it's that sort of ability to feel involved and to feel connected. And I think that's what this is all about, is getting that connection across boundaries.
And just lastly, before I let you go, this campaign particularly is online based. I think that's your primary base of communication. And the online Twitter, Facebook, social media can sometimes be very brutal. I'm sure you've come across a lot of negative comments. How have you responded to that? The naysayers, people that hold a different opinion to the ones that we have.
I don't waste my time. I don't really don't. I've got better things and more exciting things, and people giving me positive connections, and that's all I focus on. Obviously, I think almost as a symptom of making meaningful impact, you're going to have negativity. Ignore it, and don't be drawn into it. And I see that others. I understand that. You feel angry. Why is this person attacking me? I don't bother. And I think there's a surah in the Quran where they say, when someone says something cruel to you, just recognize that it's coming from a place of ignorance, and give an offer of peace, and that's it. And that's it.
Or just block them.
Yeah, we'll block them. Actually, I don't mind them. I don't even block them, to be honest. I let them do their thing.